let's see. Everybody ready? We're gonna turn on the camera. It's on? Okay. Let's call the meeting to order. Merry Christmas to all of y'all.
Merry Christmas.
It's a little early, but it's still close. All right. Ruben, you're the only guest. You have anything to say?
Nope.
No, sir. All right, now the approval of the minutes, which are these that you got.
Yeah, those are everybody's.
Yeah, I think I see one there.
I only come to sleep.
We had one case the other day. On page 4, in that one, there's a word missing or something's wrong. I think it should be authorizing.
Yeah, authorizing or that authorizes, right?
Yeah, correct. That's exactly right.
Okay.
And then,
Hey, which way you were gonna put it?
either one, Jim, wherever you think it's best.
Well,
Oh,
let's say that authorizes. Is that all right with you, Sharon?
That, okay, that.
that authorizes, put that.
Okay, that does it.
And after the couple lines down there says, application United States Bureau of Reclamation. I didn't read right to you, Dan, so I was thinking if you put, and in the amount of, no, in the United States Bureau of Reclamation, in the amount of, rather than funding that $500,000. It didn't make a lot of sense the way that was written. So here's the way I rewrote it. The application to the United States Bureau of Reclamation in the amount of, if it's 500,000 or if it's $1 million, whatever it was, the grant. Further resolve that if selected for the grant under the grant program, that the district will fund the remaining project costs.
You know, that resolution
In the
was the one Reclamation approved, wasn't it? Wasn't that identical to the one that we submitted?
Do you have it in front of you? Have you read it?
I don't
It
know.
doesn't read.
I know, but it was the one that Reclamation approved. It's an
Like that
agreement
agreement.
to agree. We've done it before. This is.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't have a problem with it. It's just the wording was also,
You know, at the end, you have to do another resolution if we get the grant. So this is to make them feel comfortable that we're legitimate submitters
Right.
for their language. So.
that gum heard I have his name on it and I don't talk that way.
My only issue is, I mean, we can correct it if we want to. It's just
Well-
that they've already approved it the way that it was, and it really doesn't have any,
Well, all I'm doing is changing it up a little bit so it reads a little better.
I mean, you could do whatever.
Well, let's see.
I can rewrite it if you want me to make it.
All right, well, let me try this. We put that authorizes the district engineer to submit and take any administrative action required to complete the application to the United
You
States.
gotta double that after the further resolve that if selected, take out one of the that's resolved. If selected, I'd take out the first that, I think. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I know.
We don't
Okay.
use it for anything. So
Maybe just,
It's just basically to get us, for them to
Yeah,
accept our
let's just-
application, we have to have.
yeah, let's just go ahead and leave that with those changes
Okay.
that Jim and I noted. How's that? That work? Okay, other than that, I don't see anything else on the minutes.
When the real resolution comes around, if we get the grant, we'll make sure it reads a lot better.
Is there any other questions or comments of the minutes? It'll take us that long to do the rest of the stuff. I entertain a motion to approve with the changes that.
Yeah, so moved.
Okay, Art makes a motion, second, Indar seconds, all in favor, same sign, all opposed, motion carries. Okay, Mary, you're on.
There was two sets, did you guys approve also?
So we approve this with the change, we still make changes to your,
We got 2
Yeah,
minutes.
but there's another set,
Oh, I'm sorry,
November,
excuse me.
November 21st.
I
That was a
didn't get
special
my
meeting.
packet this morning, so I'm not real prepared, you'll have to bear with me, so, really. This is which one, the 12th or the?
this is 12.
Okay.
I made the motion assuming it was both, but, both,
November 21st.
unless somebody else sees something on that second.
Okay.
I don't think the second set looks like.
Yellow
No,
pad
it's in,
right
it's
here.
in.
In the
In the
packet.
pad, okay. Thanks.
Oh, yeah, I remember. Is there any additions, corrections to those? If not, put them in the same
Okay.
deal, which is very straightforward and simple. Okay, Mary, back to you again.
Okay. On the investment report, we do have a CD, number 36007891, it's up for renewal, and at this time, we are in the bidding process. Unfortunately, we don't have the ability to add an additional amount, but it will be renewed for another 12 months.
Okay.
And hopefully we can do so at the beginning of the year. Any questions on the investment report?
Any questions, Mary, or any comments?
Any questions on the balance sheet?
Well, you know, I still don't see the point in putting a value to our irrigation facilities. There's just no point in it.
I agree with you 100%, but it's there and they're not gonna change it, so
Well, who's they?
I guess they
Something
can.
to do with the.
No, the council don't require it. Oh, yeah, he agrees with me.
Whatever, I mean, that's our program, whatever Mary has, and so, I agree, I don't know what it makes, it's not really a business, and that indicates it's a business that has.
Well, that was a GASB requirement, so it's statutory.
No, it's not. It's
I
not.
don't wanna argue,
You
it's
don't
not that big
wanna-
of a deal, we've done it for years.
I know it, and I've protested every year.
No, you protest it every month, I do too, I just gave
That's
up.
what it is.
Well, see, here's the problem. When I sit down with a U.S. attorney, and they point to what our value is, and I say, no, we've never ascertained this particular crossing value. And it creates problems and does no good. The TCEQ does not require it, and it ought not to be there.
Does the board want us in the January meeting to make a presentation on why it's done that way?
Well, Mary and I met with Mike on that, and we're supposed to sit down with Mike and his staff.
I'm like Jim, I don't, it has zero function except to probably cause us any problems, but if that's the way it's set up, I mean, that's your program, just kinda automatically does it, right? You have to make any
It's
entries
a
or
lot-
whatever, so.
We've been through this when we first started to do this, and I'll be glad to go through it. It'll take about 20 to 30 minutes. We'll make a presentation of why we do it that way and why it's required that we do it. If Jim and I disagree on this issue,
Well, I disagree with you too, because I don't see the need. What?
I don't see the need either. I'm not disagreeing with what you guys are concluding. I'm not disagreeing with what Jim says that there's a problem. We will be glad, we're not prepared at this meeting, but we'll be glad, Mary and I have made a presentation to you of why it needs to be reported.
Just shortly, why?
Because Jim and I disagree, it's a statutory requirement,
It
and
is
to be
not.
done. I know we disagree. You say it's not, I say it is.
What is?
And I'll make a presentation
What
on
is-
it.
what is-
I'm not prepared to go to trial right
It
now.
is part of the gas.
The accountant says it is part of the.
Correct.
But that,
And I say it is.
he's trying to go under, general gap, which is, doesn't apply to us. It's not our state rules, it's not our state statutes.
Let's
It's
move
floundering
on.
around to no advantage. Here's the problem. If you want a realistic value, you ought to have at least $1 billion.
Yeah, I agree with
Because if you try to replace all of your irrigation facilities, you can't do it for $35 million. You
I'm
didn't
willing,
pay $35 million. to begin with.
Okay, okay, no more discussion about this, okay. We're not gonna talk about it, you don't need to make any deal. I'm gonna call our
Accountant.
accountant, and I'm gonna ask him what his opinion is, and we'll go from there. If he says we need it, we'll leave it. Now, you wanna increase the values, and I agree, because there's no way to put a value on this.
there's no way
That's
to
it.
put a value.
That's
There's
it.
no way to
exactly.
really
No, I agree that there's some
But there is a way
nonsensical
for this to-
requirements in the statute.
But there is a way for this to come back and haunt us, and all of the crap, all the stuff that we're involved in all the time. But people want to use our
Yeah,
facilities.
that's
Just a new appraiser. I'll be the appraiser.
Okay,
The board gets to be the appraiser. The board does get to be.
Well, then, there you go.
okay.
You guys set
We
the
can put a
value.
brand new value.
Okay, cool, Mike.
If you wanna do that, it's a different issue.
Well, look, let's talk about it in closed session a little bit, because it relates to our condemnation actions very directly.
Well, we can't change it now, it's already a matter of
Sure you can change it, you know it.
It's a matter of record right now, so we got,
Man, that's not right. I don't think it can.
well, it is.
Wrong records can be corrected.
No, I understand it can be corrected, but we're not doing it this morning, Spear, okay? Forget it.
Well, then just don't approve this.
No, we're gonna approve it. We don't have to approve it.
No.
We're
This is
just
just
asking
stuff.
for information.
Right, there we
No
go.
point.
We're not asking you to.
All right, what else, man? $500 check report, is that where we are?
Budget. Okay. Don't see anything on the budget either, Mary.
Budget performance, cash flow, excuse me.
Mary, I just only, one real quick thing on that, you know, the reimbursables, I like the way that's changed around, if I can understand it. This month you had it all under other reimbursable. Did most of that was dewatering?
No, that is a part of certain projects that are reimbursing to the district.
Okay. Okay. So you don't have any under the dewatering at the moment? Is that right? It's on page 4.
And he realized it for this fiscal year at this moment.
Okay, good.
We have several projects that are, one that's
Yes,
closing
they're
up
pending.
today, so we'll be realizing some of
We'll
those.
realize, probably the end of this week, that they just shut down the pumps last Friday.
We do the final accounting after they finish the project. We charge what, and we do it periodically if it's a long thing. The fiscal just
At the
ended.
end of fiscal year, we do have to
Yeah,
realize.
and so we just have done this, and so we typically are doing it
Yeah, so it's
every
brand
quarter.
new. Yeah.
And there wasn't any last quarter to do, nothing, it's,
The project hit the ski track here in Rough Heights. At the end, they finished up the project in its entirety. So yeah, they pulled the wells out last week. I don't finish tally it up till the wells are pulled, because sometimes they'll have to go back to fix some stuff. And they start pumping again, so, but they did pull all the wells already, so as of Friday. So we'll have some realized. And then the only other project we've got right now is Country Club, dewatering, and that's been going on for about a year and a half now, so that's still ongoing.
I mean, that's a paper change, the money's in our bank account.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's what I just realized. Yep. We're brand new into this year, not too far.
Yeah.
All right, $500 check detail.
All right.
Anybody? Larry and Nora? No comments, Mary, you got off light this morning. All right.
Road.
All right, Rose, you're on.
Good morning.
Good.
The first item we have is the adjustments. The first one we have is under Mr. Lorenzo Lopez, and this is a two-part. Excuse me. Mr. Lopez had filed bankruptcy and the property was flagged, so no tax notices were sent by mail, no contact. The claim has been paid in full, and we were advised by the court that we still had a balance versus what we had submitted prior, when the claim was submitted back in 2009, was not correct. So we did review the disbursement sheet of all payments versus what we had received, and they were correct. What happened was, as the checks would come in, they would be considered partial payments, and home office would apply the payment to the penalty and interest or collection fee versus it should have gone to the tax assessment, any allotment charges, county service fee, and so on. So we audited the account and we did apply the funds correctly. So what we're gonna ask here is on part one is to remove, and that would be the 2006, 2007, and 8 tax assessment, accounting service, charge, penalty, interest, and collection fee. Part two, because the account was flagged as a bankruptcy account, home office would not send out any notices. Now, the claim was for the years 2002 through 2009, so we did not send notices to the property owner for 2010, 11, 12, or 13. Therefore, we're removing the penalty and interest and the collection fees for those years. And he was notified, and the account has not been paid in full.
So you wanna waive the 8348?
Yes, sir.
Next one.
The next two, number 2, number 3, of same owner, Manuel and Benita Cano. The property owner was in the office last year, and she can complain about the water charges, her being a non-user. And due to the home office reconstruction, the information changed from a user to a non-user, reverted, making her, or the property, a user. So, and that information was documented, I did verify with Jaime Leyva, and we need to remove those water charges. So it'll be a total of $18.60 on the first account, and on the second account, $11.20. Number 4, number 5, the property was under our Alliance Investments Company, and it was transferred to Canopi Independent School District. This is also the same thing, the home office reconstruction. The property had changed ownership. Kathy, myself, we had received notice from Mr. Lyons. We had changed the ownership, and due to the reconstruction, it reverted back to Lyons. So the exempt code was removed, went back to the previous owner. Therefore, we need to remove the tax assessment on both accounts.
Rose, when you say reconstruction, you mean like when you rebooted the new computer?
Yes.
It just reverted?
So the first account, $264.75, and the second account, $385.75. And we're removing it because the property is tax exempt, therefore it's gonna be RS.
This is the property that's going to be turned into that FFA program in the school district.
But do they use water?
Do we have a
Yes.
contract with them?
So
to
then,
use
yeah,
them?
as a tax exempt entity, we have a contract.
Did we do a contract with them this last year to utilize water? Or did they use?
I can check with Kathy on that. Kathy was part of this, and she did not say anything, so I'm gonna say no for right now, but
No,
I
we
can
need
double
to
check.
in the future, so
Yeah,
maybe.
last year they did not use water, they plan on using and utilizing the field this coming year.
If they didn't use water, then they don't owe us anything for sure.
Exactly.
Conversely, when they do use water, they owe
And then
us
with-
on our tax exempt basis for charges for water use.
Okay, that's all of them?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I entertain a motion to approve the tax adjustments for the years indicated on the sheet that Rose just went through. All in favor, say aye. Indar say, Indar makes a motion. Second. Larry seconds, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
The second item, we have the 2013 El Paso Public Service Board recent assignments. This is the project we're working with, joint effort with El Paso Water Utilities. And on the top is just a summary, I'm sorry.
I just noticed one thing here, I hope it's not a big deal. When I went down the list of that, the first one said the Lorenzo Lopez,
Yes, sir.
and you did away with all those taxes, there was a gap on 2009.
Yes, I saw that too. That one was me. The home office, the way to apply the payment actually was correct
Okay,
on
okay,
2009.
so that's why it's not there.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna put the 2009, but I thought, well, should I put it because there's no adjustment, but
Yeah.
I'm glad you caught that.
Okay.
What is this term you come up with, Rose, this home office? Why are we using that?
That's the in-house software that we have.
If you got a better
There's a
name.
computer
we'll go.
software
I
again.
think the acronym was HOS, right?
HOS, yes.
Nobody liked that acronym. it came from
Well, I
previous.
thought it was versus King Appeal Office.
See, that's what I'm thinking.
You know, that was all under Pat Propper's design, I guess. We didn't have anything to do with it. You know, we call it, on the website, we call it the water and tax accounting system. That's what it is. WTAS,
Yeah,
but they call it HOSS, and we don't know what HOSS really stands
Home
for.
office security system.
Security system? So they abbreviated it into home office.
That's the software.
You want us to rename it Water Tax Accounting System?
I
well,
want
it
to
needs
move on to
something,
the public service board and assignments. I don't think it makes it.
you know, it just needs something that's not misleading to somebody in the general public.
It's not misleading.
Microsoft had a product called Home Office for years, and I thought it was that, so.
I think they still did.
What about saying home office computer?
We just call it Water Tax Accounting System,
Okay.
WTA. It's what it is. Just call it a duck.
Okay, El Paso Public Service.
Or Rosa
Board,
Rosa.
does that sound-
Us Cartwright's the only officer I know.
I know, that's what I thought. We would call it a little Joe for a while.
Try one more time with Mary. On the public service board assignment.
I went ahead and summarized from March to December 2013. And that's, the first time that we started working with public service board and joint effort to solicit water rights. At that time, we had at least 392 properties, processing fee of $39,200 for a total of $16,397.57. And then I went ahead and gave you the breakdown for this year. Total, we have 686 leases, totals for $68,600 in processing fees, total $20,358.93 collected in delinquent taxes. And it's just a reminder, this is ongoing, so this is why you have the 1125. Even though we are collecting, we still receive leases. So it's a year-round effort. So
I
when
just want to thank y'all, thank you for, just look at the amount of all of the, not just the money, but from here forward, how much simpler it'll be and less delinquents and all that stuff. It's been a tremendous deal, I appreciate your efforts, and tell us, Public Service Board, we appreciate their efforts too, because my gosh, what a good deal, wow. Even for the landowners, it's a good deal. Okay.
Thank you very much. On item C, I'm gonna make a correction. It's collection between the tax years 2013 and 14, since we have a new tax year on board now. And right now, we have collected 6.90746% versus last year at the same time, we had collected 9.2443%. And again, just a reminder, December's gonna be our heavy month, so I expect a lot of money coming in, and of course for January also. We got a slow start, but I'm sure it's gonna pick up. Our next item, we have a report on tax suits. This month, I did not have any accounts paid in full, but we are receiving payments, and we are putting more lines on the list. We have filed suit. And just as a reminder again, the last column would be the date for motion or order for non-suit over the property has been sold at a tax sale. I am working closely with the attorney so we can update and reduce those that have been paid taxes, but also the court fees.
Is there no way, these are in tax suits, is there no way that there's not some way we can get those people with the Public Service Board, clear those things out?
Yes, sir, we did actually, we met with the attorneys, this was about 2 months ago. And what we're gonna start doing now, they have a copy of this list, and they're gonna send a notice intent to sue before we file suit, but they will also notify them of PSD and lower bound, about the single letter.
Because that, we could clean that up a whole lot quicker in the court system.
And actually, we've had a few that Public Service Board didn't pay.
Yeah, like I said, that'd clean it up a lot faster in the court system, will it?
It'll be less expensive for both parties. And that's all I have.
Okay, thanks, Rose. Keep up the good work.
Rose, make sure we post what days we close for the holidays online and then at the door so that we can notify the public.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rose. Okay, item 6 is you, Mr. Reyes. Okay.
I passed out, Bert issued out an allocation, first allocation for this coming year. Put it out Thursday, and I was out of town and I didn't get it to Sharon in time. But anyway, I've handed it out to you all. Total usable water, project water is 153,381. EBID got a first allocation of 54,521, and ours is 40,971. And then Mexico is 2,244. So that,
Those are approximate numbers allocation committee, then there's various accounting things still going on, both at the compact and at the district level, that make this a proposed allocation, not a final. I wouldn't expect it to change more than 5% on the numbers.
So we're about 41,000 more than what we had last year at this time. At this time, in December. And this is the, keep in mind, this was as of December 1st. We've had some inflows coming in and so on that are not accounted for.
And this is assuming some extrapolated Rio Grande compact accounting, which we won't know that until March. So.
Right.
But again, I think all of these numbers are within 5%. What the final numbers will be in March. And we'll have more water in March.
Item B, my engineer wanted to make sure that we were going to close on that Playa drain in January, as PSB had mentioned we would, and I met with John Baloo yesterday, and we're still on for that second week of January. So we should close then. I'll get with Phil so we can make sure that we're on board and ready to go by that date. It should be sometime in that second week of January. And we'll be able to get that 2.75 million. I talked to Mary about that already, and so I just wanted to update that.
Now you're out bidding for CDs. Good. That's tremendous, good.
Okay, and then just on yesterday, I also met with Mary Gonzalez. I didn't, just for information purposes only, she's going to come in at 4 o'clock. Al and I are going to sit down with her at 4 o'clock. She's proposing a stormwater district for outside the city limits that she is working on, and so we met with her, John Baloo, myself, Lower Valley, Fabens, number 4, and Tornillo, and she went over what her plans are. We gave her some suggestions and on problem areas where we see. But anyway, I'm in talking to Al yesterday. He was requesting to meet with her, so I called her, and she's going to come in at 4 o'clock. I don't know if you want to be present, Johnny, or and we're just going to go over, stormwater problems, what it causes us on our drains, and concerns that Al has as far as what it's going to take to upgrade. Of course, they're looking at everybody that looks at stormwater looks at us because there's no other facilities to utilize. So we're going to have to be working on that, like we are with PSB, with the county looks like on a stormwater district. She's looking at a proposal of maybe a 7-person elected body that would govern that.
You see, that's enormously different from what we're doing with the PSB.
Mm-hmm.
That's setting up a political subdivision, an independent, free-flying.
More taxes.
I know, sorry, this is awkward, we didn't get this on the agenda, so Jim, me, and Chu can discuss it, but you guys don't.
That's a great notation.
Yeah.
So we'll discuss it if it's all right, since it's information only,
Yeah.
it's brand new. Has legislation been filed?
She has not, no.
Okay, good, that's
Can't
a
file
start.
until January.
No, you can pre-file, you can pre-file. So that's good, so we can look at the angle legislation. Number two is that my biggest concern is there's just a fundamental disconnect with everyone, I mean, almost universally, every engineer, every entity we work with, except for maybe PSB, that they think the drains are designed for stormwater, and the drains are not, they're designed for groundwater control. So when they see this big prism cut out, they think, oh, this thing has enormous capacity, and they don't realize that right down at the first road, there's a 24-inch culvert, because we never need, the capacity was there to get down to the groundwater. It's not a capacity, it's just, that's how much dirt we had to remove to get to the groundwater. And so they look at it and they think that, hey, we can handle 2,000 CFS, and we can handle 10 CFS in some places, and so it's a major disconnect. And so I have to sit down with people and say, no, I think our initial estimate was 150 million infrastructure improvement and convert the drainage system in the lower valley to a storm system, the initial investment. And people don't understand that. So I'm with Jim, in it's gonna be a political subdivision that's a taxing entity. We need to put this on the agenda for January and brief the board where you guys can participate.
And then also, I think you all should know is that Public Service Board, the City Council appointed Bradley Rowe to the Public Service Board yesterday. They didn't go with
Instead of NEMA.
with their Niemer, their sitting board member. So they
Change it to Bradley Rowe. It's good, Bradley Rowe, he's Phil Lane's
I
brother.
think he's a good engineer, yeah.
Yeah, we've had really good.
He's Phil Lane's brother. Dr. Phil Lane.
I think Jay's worked with him quite often. So.
Yeah, I've had,
Brad's a good guy.
yeah, we've been working for 20 plus years, I have.
I sat on the board with him.
He understands the drains. What the heck?
And that's all I had. Unless you all have any questions of me.
Any questions of Chuy? Any comments? It's for this afternoon.
At 4 p.m. Yes.
Ready?
All right, district engineer.
All right, I get some good news once. And I want everybody to take note of this. I'm starting off with the good news. It may deteriorate as the conversation goes up. We'll start out on an upbeat. Is the flow into Elephant Butte is above normal. We haven't seen that at many, many years.
Is it normally in the month?
See, I'm trying.
I take that comment back.
It's fairly significant.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know, I'm all happy that we actually got above. If you look at these graphs, it's sort of, you might have to turn the light.
Usually when I talk to Al about what water is inflowing and stuff, he puts me in a depressed mood, but
Yeah, this is unusual. First of all, if we go back to Ottawa, is got about 900 CFS. This is about 600. This is San Marcial is what this is, the inlet to the reservoir. But there's two gauging stations there, and I don't have a combined graph. The other gauging station has about 200 CFS, so that puts it about 800. There's 900 up at Ottawa, so we are getting, there's an index on that, so we're getting part of that is compact water, a significant part, and it's making it down to the reservoir, which is unusual. The wet rains, I guess, previously, so this is good. We're on our target, last board meeting, I told you our target was 300,000 in March, when we looked at our making the first district allocation. We're at 244 right now, counting the estimate with the compact credit, and we're producing at about 1,600 a day, which is about double what I needed to meet my target of 300. So we're ahead of schedule, and it looks, all indications are we're going to hit the 300 or more.
Are those median triangles out, or is that based on just the one gauge, or is that both gauges?
No, that's just one gauge. So the other gauge would probably have about another 50 CFS. This is the big, this is the floodway, and the other one's the pilot channel, which has less capacity for lower flows, and so that's good.
Yeah.
So that's Phil and I were talking about these flow patterns have significantly changed. You know, we're seeing significantly less snowpack. We used to get all our runoff in July, you know, June, July, and we, have big one. Now we're getting very low. And by July, there is very low flows, all-time records, and now we're seeing more winter moisture. So we need to keep that in mind when we talk about any of the compact violation issues. Is that we are seeing a different flow pattern that we need to make sure we don't do anything that would upset the way the accounting's done on that, or that perhaps we need to look at going back to the original accounting of the compact rather than this modified. We'll talk about that in closed session. So any questions on the compact? We'll be talking closed. The other one, moving on to the issues of Miguel, access these.
Al, could I make one minute?
Sure.
Of course, we're expecting that the special master appointed by the Supreme Court is going to start setting up hearings to collect facts and preparatory to making his legal rules. So it's going to be interesting that just when he's coming in, you have a dramatic change in recent patterns.
Well, the drought is. So switching gears now off of that, we put on my schedule just because of the additional importance, so that we might be able to release earlier this year. Indications are that we or have more water than we've had quite a few years. These are the projects out of our 20 or plus projects that we're managing right now. These are the projects that are critical projects. These are the ones that could impact delivery of water. And we're going to give you an update on these and where we are on each one of them. Now, there's numerous other projects. You may see other projects out there that look like, for example, we have another TxDOT project over on the Franklin, or it's on the Franklin feeder, isn't it? Franklin is on Franklin. That is with the city of Socorro and TxDOT, but and there's a lot of construction going around, but they're not touching our flow prism, or very minimal. So that we feel that even if the project didn't finish on time, that we could still deliver water through that structure. In fact, we don't see any reason why we couldn't. It might make it a little more difficult on the licensee, but that's their problem. They know that, and they still haven't. All of these people have a February 15th deadline. Don't get me wrong, but I did put that one on here because its impact, if they are late, is less or not at all in the district. If these guys are late, they all impact. So I'm going to go down one at a time. So TxDOT, Score Road of Favens is the one that you guys may have seen underway. That's got the road closed down there by Favens. That one, I think we're doing very well, Jay.
Yes.
We had a rough start on it, but everything's come up to speed, and we see at this time, no issue. They're far enough along that they should be finished early for our part.
Yeah.
Now, whether they get the road opened up again, that's not our concern. Remember, our concern is making sure the flow prism is operational, and that's the priority. And they've done everything that we can see so far right, with our Jay's prodding a little bit at first. But once we sort of told them that we were going to be there every day looking at their work, they've seemed to come up, their standards have come up quite a bit to what the design standards were. So that's good. It's on a road in El Paso. That's another TxDOT. It's a long-term project. We started that project with this board 6 years ago, 5 years ago. That's, related to the medical center and other things. It's finally come to fruition. It's a big project, but they've done just a super job. We use photographs from that contractor's work to show other contractors how to do it right. And it's a dual buried box culverts, so it's a big one. They're getting ready to start. The culverts are pretty much placed and the foundation's built, and then the next thing for us is the check structure and the inlet and outlet facilities. So those are the easier ones to do. The hard work's done. So that one's on schedule or ahead of schedule. Scora Health is one we had the special meeting for last month. You guys recall that, to get them going. They're mobilized, I understand, and they haven't started working in the flow prism yet, but they're getting ready, and I guess they're targeting next week. Is that right?
Yeah, they're mobilizing this week. Yeah, we got their stuff.
So we've got them up and running. That's a smaller job. We don't anticipate, but we'll keep you posted on that. Riverside Canal, the Border Patrol has 3 out of those 8 sites. 5 of those 8 were ours, 3 were Hudspeth's. There's only a contract for this season for 3 of them. They're all bridges. They are doing, at our request, a concrete paving underneath the bridges, so for maintenance reasons, so we don't have to mow under the bridges. It's hard to mow under the bridges, so they've complied with all that. So really, the only thing that affects us on those is the placement of the concrete paving, which is a fairly small job, even with 3 of them, and every indication is that's on time.
60 feet, they're planning for next week, so we'll just need to verify.
So we'll probably be done early there as part of the, and then if they don't finish the bridge, that's their issue, we can still flow water. I'm gonna come back to the American Canal. There's always gotta be one that gets extra emphasis. The Salatrol's done, right? Pete's here?
Yes, sir.
And he can talk to these in his presentation, he'll show you pictures of them. And Clint, we're in good shape.
Yes.
All indication is that we're gonna be able to put that system right back into operation as we had planned for the return flow.
Right.
Robert, you keeping Robert happy? Robert's happy? Right. So,
Robert's happy.
Robert's happy, so that's a good sign right there. So that project's,
You got all my men over there, so.
he didn't have anybody to run water. We took them all to work with. That's going well, and we're proceeding. And then there's a one over La Union East, Artcraft Estates. We've had some problems with that contractor. It appears that they haven't mobilized yet on that construction. They've got the material there.
They installed the sewer lines and the water lines across the La Union East. They're supposed to install a box culvert, but yeah, contingent on their progress on the utilities, they might not.
Yeah, so we're gonna mod that one. We've got Chewy's helping us on that one. We got some issues on that one, trespass issues, damage to facility related to the big project, not specific to this box culvert. But having said all that stuff, it's got an extra star on it that we're tracking in. So that one may just have to wait till next year, but if they don't get with it. It is a fairly small project, though, so they should be able to do it in 3 weeks, and so they still have time to do it. The one that's the most, so really the highest risk one at this point is the American Canal by far. It is, I mean, the Artcraft Estates, for example, if that contractor didn't do that, we could restore that thing in a couple of days and have it operational. We could get in there and finish it up or restore it. So I'm not worried about us, we've got the ability, but the one that we don't have, and we don't own the canal, we have the M&O agreement to operate the canal, is at the settling basin. It's a fairly large project. It's in a reaction to trying to prepare that for, at our request, in response to them, the Border Patrol proposing to put our canal on the Mexican side of the fence. We request that it be put underground if they're going to do that. We actually requested the fence be moved and that the canal be on the American side of the fence. That they denied. You guys know we fought that for 4 years, and that they refused to do that. And so that at this point they're doing the alternative, which is putting it underground. Well, the first part of putting it underground is modifying the outlet from the underground portion into the settling basin and modifying the College Arroyo. And that's the most complicated part. It's a fairly small footprint, but it's got a lot of critical concrete placements and complex concrete placements. We have, they have not mobilized that we can tell. They got some materials off-site.
I stopped by yesterday, but they're just doing some earthwork. They removed some of the concrete panels, but they've not.
Is there a private contractor, so IBWC did it?
It's
VMAC.
Oscar Benet.
Oh, that's one of them.
Yeah,
That's probably good.
they haven't mobilized. They've got the pipes on site, but they're gonna
Makes
work.
me feel better to know that he's doing it.
They had some trouble starting just because of the flow. The flow from the treatment plants was significant, so they're doing a bypass into the Rio Grande.
Yeah, the engineer or the boundary never addressed the dewatering issue, so that caused a big delay. It just makes me nervous. This is one of these projects that's so complicated that you would want them to start October 15th. Just, you know, if we were doing it,
Previous experience with him has been though that he really gets it done.
He'll get it
This
done.
may not be in his control.
yeah, well, the first part probably wasn't.
I was supposed to say there's things
That was,
that happen.
that was before construction could start, there was a change order. That's a bad sign. When you get in and start construction, when you find out that you missed
We
something.
missed something in the middle.
Yeah.
The concern would be if we get a storm and that College Arroyo runs and that's where they're gonna be working.
But there's all sorts of things that they didn't address, and by ignoring the flows of the Rio Grande and the flows into the American Canal. number one is they're working on the American Dam at this time, so they're diverting all water into the American Canal so that they can, another contractor can get his work done on the dam. That took precedence over this project, so that causes complications. And if they're late, they can't put it back in. So they had to build a bypass through the levee, 3 36-inch pipes that they're installing, you have to install first, and then a coffer dam. And I said, you know, whenever we penetrate the levee, the standard practice here and every place else in the world, you have to anticipate conditions of the river going to flood stage. Okay, we don't have control over that. You know, in 2006, it typically was the monsoon time, so right now it isn't a high-risk period, but at the same time, that if the river should go to flood stage, you have to have some emergency procedure to shut those culverts off. Normally what we do is we install the gates. And it may not be pressurized gates, they may leak, but they're, you know, enough to keep a disaster from happening. So they proposed installing them with no gates. I said, well, what are we gonna do if this situation happens? Because that water ends up in the canal and ends up over the canal and going down into downtown El Paso. So it's so they still haven't told us what they're gonna do there on setting it up. But also, it's our return flows. We want that water back in the system as quick as possible. So there's some big issues. And then Chewy brought up the third one, which is we have absolutely no control over the College Arroyo. Much higher probability that it'll flow at flood stage than the river.